let's talk about that specific feeling you might know all too well. It's that slow, stiff start to the day where your knees or hips seem to protest a little more loudly as you get out of bed. You might feel a familiar ache in your hands as you prepare your morning tea or coffee. For so long, we've been taught to accept this as an inevitable part of getting older, a cross to bear. But what if that morning stiffness wasn't just a random event? What if the choices you make at the breakfast table directly influence how your joints feel for the rest of the day? It's a powerful thought, and it's grounded in a simple biological truth. Everything you eat is broken down and absorbed into your bloodstream. From there, those components travel to every part of your body, including your joints. Think of your joint tissue as a delicate internal environment. Now imagine some foods send in calming, soothing signals, like a gentle peacekeeping force. They help maintain the smooth, cushioning surface that allows your joints to move freely and without friction. Other foods, however, do the exact opposite. They send in what we can think of as inflammatory signals. These aren't necessarily bad. In a fleeting moment, inflammation is your body's natural response to injury. But when it becomes a constant low-grade fire, it's a problem. These signals act like tiny irritants, aggravating that delicate joint environment. They can make the joint lining more sensitive and contribute to that feeling of swelling and stiffness with every movement you make. So the creakiness you feel isn't just age. It's often the cumulative effect of what you've been fueling your body with meal after meal. This means your morning meal is far more than just sustenance. It's the first and most important instruction manual you give your body for the day. Will you instruct it toward comfort and ease or toward inflammation and pain? The wonderful news is that this is not a life sentence. You have more control over this process than you may have ever realized. By understanding exactly which foods send those damaging signals, you can begin to make different choices that lead to easier, more comfortable movement. And that revelation begins with looking closely at the 3 most common breakfast items that are secretly working against you. Of all the foods that can quietly aggravate your joints, the number 1 offender is likely the most familiar. I'm talking about the highly refined carbohydrates that have become a breakfast staple for so many. Picture that slice of fluffy white toast, the plain bagel, or the bowl of sugary cereal that practically dissolves in milk. These foods feel comforting and harmless, a simple way to start the day. You might enjoy them and feel satisfied for a short while, completely unaware of the subtle process you've just set in motion within your body. But inside your system, these items act like tiny sparks, landing on the kindling of low-grade inflammation. It's a reaction you can't feel happening in the moment, but your joints will certainly report back on it later. This isn't about assigning blame. We've all enjoyed these foods for decades. It's about awareness, because understanding that this common comfort food is the primary culprit is the most significant step you can take toward finding real, lasting relief from that nagging joint discomfort. Now, let's uncover exactly why this happens. So how does that seemingly innocent slice of toast or bowl of cereal actually work against your joints? It all begins the moment you take that first bite. These refined grains and sugars are broken down into glucose with astonishing speed, flooding your bloodstream. Now, your body needs to manage this sudden surge, and it does so by releasing a hormone called insulin. But this rapid influx is like pouring gasoline on a smoldering fire. It creates a state of alarm within your system, prompting the release of inflammatory compounds. These compounds then travel through your blood, reaching the delicate lining of your joints. Imagine this lining as a soft, protective carpet. These inflammatory particles are like gritty sand being scattered across it, causing irritation, swelling, and that all-too-familiar feeling of stiffness and pain with every movement you make. But the story doesn't end there. This process has a second, even more stealthy consequence. When high levels of sugar circulate in your blood, they don't just pass through harmlessly. They actively seek out and bind to proteins in your body, including the crucial proteins that make up your flexible joint tissues and cartilage. This binding creates new, harmful compounds that scientists call advanced glycation end products, or AGEs. That's a very fitting name, because they essentially age your tissues prematurely. Think of it like this. If you've ever seen a piece of metal left out outside that becomes rusty and brittle, or how sugar caramelizes when heated, becoming hard, that is similar to what is happening inside your joints. These AGEs act like tiny bits of rust, stiffening the very tissues that are designed to be supple and shock-absorbing. Over time, this makes your cartilage more prone to cracking and wear under pressure. This is a silent, internal process. You won't feel the sugar molecules attaching to your proteins, but you will absolutely feel the consequences in the reduced flexibility and increased discomfort in your knees, hips, and hands. It's a gradual change, which is why it's so easy to attribute it solely to the passing years. Now, I know this sounds serious, and it is important to understand, but please do not feel discouraged. This is not a life sentence. The most empowering part of this knowledge is that it points directly toward the solution. You are not doomed to a future of increasing pain. By making a simple, satisfying swap away from these inflammatory triggers, you can begin to calm this internal fire and protect your joints from this damaging process. The path forward is not about deprivation. It's about making smarter, equally delicious choices that your body will thank you for. Now, let's turn our attention to the second worst breakfast item for your joints, one you might already have a hunch about: processed meats, like breakfast sausages, bacon, and ham. You've likely heard for years about their connection to heart health and cholesterol, and that is certainly important. But what often goes unnoticed is their even more direct impact on your mobility and joint comfort. The issue here isn't primarily cholesterol. It's the specific type of fats these meats contain and how they communicate with your body's internal alarm system. These savory meats are packed with saturated fats that act as a powerful trigger for your body's internal alarm system. When you consume them, your body recognizes these fats as inflammatory agents and responds by releasing a flood of chemical signals throughout your bloodstream. These signals don't just target your arteries, they travel everywhere, reaching your joints and instructing the tissues to become inflamed. Imagine this process slowly thickening the natural, lubricating synovial fluid inside your joints. This fluid is designed to be slick and slippery, allowing for effortless movement. But when it becomes denser and less efficient, it leads to a very specific type of stiffness. Does the stiffness in your knees or hips feel deep and persistent, as if your joints genuinely need a fresh wheeling? That heavy, sluggish sensation is a classic sign that this inflammatory process is at work. The good news is that this isn't a permanent state. What if you could still enjoy a perfectly savory and satisfying breakfast without subjecting your joints to this daily penalty? The solution is simpler than you might think. The core issue with these processed meats, and indeed with many modern cooking oils, comes down to a single, unbalanced nutrient: omega-6 fatty acids. Now, it's crucial to understand that your body does require some omega-6. It plays a role in our health, but the problem never is about the substance itself. It's always about the balance. To visualize this, imagine a children's seesaw. On one side, you have the anti-inflammatory omega-3 fatty acids, which work to calm your body down. On the other side, you have the pro-inflammatory omega-6s, which, in excess, stir things up. For most of us following a typical modern diet, that seesaw is completely stuck, slammed down on the inflammatory omega-6 side. Decades of relying on processed foods, certain vegetable oils, and conventional meats have piled an enormous amount of weight onto that one end. Every time you enjoy that breakfast sausage or bacon, you are adding another heavy weight to the already overloaded side. This chronic imbalance tells your body to maintain a constant state of low-grade alert, which directly manifests as stiffness and discomfort in your joints. But this realization is incredibly empowering. The goal is not to eliminate all fat from your breakfast. That would be missing the point entirely. Your joints need the right kinds of fat to stay lubricated and cushioned. The real solution is to consciously choose fats that help rebalance the seesaw, that add weight to the anti-inflammatory side. It's about making simple swaps that calm the internal environment rather than aggravating it. And the wonderful news is that your kitchen is already filled with delicious, satisfying options that can do exactly that, turning your morning meal into a powerful tool for joint comfort. Our third, and perhaps sneakiest, worst item is what I call the sweet trap. These aren't always obvious desserts. They're the sugary fruit drinks that seem healthy, the sweetened yogurts marketed as wholesome, or the flavored coffee creamers that turn your morning cup into a treat. They go down easily and feel pleasantly energizing, but their impact on your joints is uniquely damaging. This problem moves beyond general inflammation to a more targeted assault on your very cartilage, that precious, smooth cushioning that allows your bones to glide painlessly against each other. When you consume these liquid sugars, particularly a type called fructose, your liver works hard to process it. This effort can lead to a spike in uric acid, a substance that forms painful crystals in joints at high levels. More insidiously, this sugar surge activates certain enzymes in the joint space called matrix metalloproteinases. Think of these enzymes as tiny, overzealous demolition crews. Their job is to clear out old tissue, but when triggered by excess sugar, they become hyperactive and start breaking down healthy, vital cartilage. It's a slow, silent erosion, like leaving a piece of metal out in the rain to gradually rust away. This isn't about the occasional birthday cake. This is about the daily drip feed of sweetened liquids and foods that continuously fuel this destructive process. They quietly weaken the structural integrity of your joints, making them more vulnerable to wear and pain. But this process is not inevitable. Knowing that this daily habit is the culprit is the key to stopping it in its tracks. So, if these common breakfast items are working against you, what can you put on your plate and in your cup that will actively protect and nourish your joints instead? Now that we understand what's quietly causing the damage, let's shift our focus to a far more hopeful topic: active protection. The truly good news is that you are not powerless against this process. While we remove the problematic items, we can simultaneously bring in powerful natural compounds that actively safeguard and even help maintain the health of your cartilage. Think of this as moving from a defensive stance, where you're just trying to avoid harm, to playing offense for your mobility, where every meal contributes to your strength and comfort. Specific foods contain what we can call chondroprotective nutrients. That's a scientific term that simply means cartilage protecting. Imagine sitting down to breakfast, and with every purposeful bite, you are dispatching tiny specialized repair crews directly to your joints. These crews are made up of different nutrients. You have the proteins that act as the essential building blocks for strong cartilage, helping to maintain its sturdy yet flexible structure. Then you have potent antioxidants, which work as the cleanup team, neutralizing the inflammatory particles that can degrade your joint cushioning over time. These nutrients don't just passively exist in your body, they get to work fortifying your joints from the inside out, helping them resist the daily wear and tear of movement. This is how you begin to actively build a more resilient foundation for your mobility. It transforms your relationship with food from one of fear to one of empowerment. So, what are these powerful joint-building foods that can act as your daily repair crew? Let's open the doors to your new breakfast pantry, a place filled with delicious, accessible options that don't just avoid causing problems, they actively help you feel better, starting from the moment you wake up. Let's build your new breakfast strategy, and we'll do it with the simplest method possible: direct, one-for-one swaps. This isn't about overhauling your entire life or giving up the meals you love. It's about making smarter, targeted choices that your joints will appreciate. Think of it as an upgrade, not a punishment. For that first problematic item, the refined carbohydrates like white toast or sugary cereal, your new best friends are slow-cooked oatmeal or a robust slice of whole grain rye or sourdough bread. These are complex carbohydrates, which means your body breaks them down gradually. This slow release of energy steadies your blood sugar, completely avoiding those inflammatory spikes that irritate your joints. Imagine enjoying a warm, satisfying bowl of oatmeal and knowing that you are providing your body with sustained energy without the hidden cost of pain and stiffness later in the morning. Next, let's tackle the savory element. Instead of that processed sausage or bacon, which we know overloads your system with inflammatory fats, consider the incredible, versatile egg. 2 eggs provide you with high-quality protein that serves as the building blocks for repairing tissues, along with choline, a nutrient that supports brain health, a wonderful bonus. If you're feeling a bit more adventurous, a small serving of salmon is a phenomenal choice. It's rich in those powerful omega-3 fatty acids we discussed, which actively work to calm inflammation and rebalance your internal seesaw. You get that satisfying savory taste while directly feeding your joints the lubrication they crave. Finally, for the sweet trap of sugary juices and flavored yogurts, we have a delicious and equally pleasant alternative. Swap that out for plain Greek yogurt, topped with a generous handful of fresh berries and just a drizzle of raw honey if you like a touch of sweetness. The Greek yogurt is packed with protein to keep you full and stable, while the berries are bursting with natural antioxidants. These antioxidants act as tiny protectors, neutralizing the damaging particles that can harm your joint cartilage. This swap transforms a sugary danger into a powerful protective meal. These changes are not radical. They are intelligent. They are about working with your body's biology, not against it. The most immediate benefit you'll notice, beyond the long-term joint health, is how you feel after eating. Instead of that heavy, sluggish feeling followed by an energy crash and creeping stiffness, you will feel nourished, lighter, and more flexible. Your body will feel ready for the day, not weighed down by it. Now, seeing these swaps individually is one thing, but the real magic happens when we combine them into a simple, practical plan. Let's bring it all together with a straightforward menu that takes the guesswork out of your morning. To make this transition utterly simple and completely stress-free, I want to give you a straightforward 3-day sample plan to get you started. This is not a rigid diet. Think of it as a no-stress experiment for your body. On day 1, I'd like you to enjoy a warm, comforting bowl of oatmeal. Cook it slowly and top it with a handful of walnuts for a satisfying crunch and some anti-inflammatory omega-3s, along with a generous scoop of blueberries for their powerful antioxidant protection. It's a classic breakfast, but now powered up for your joints. For day 2, let's prepare a savory plate. Scramble 2 eggs with a handful of fresh spinach and serve it alongside a slice of creamy avocado toast on a sturdy, whole-grain bread. You'll get the protein and choline from the eggs, the healthy fats from the avocado, and the steady energy from the complex carbohydrates. On day 3, your meal is a serving of plain Greek yogurt. Stir in a mix of fresh berries, strawberries, raspberries, whatever you enjoy, and finish with a sprinkle of chia seeds for extra fiber and omega-3s. I encourage you to give this simple 3-day plan a genuine try. As you do, pay very close attention to the subtle signals your body sends you. Notice how your joints feel around mid-morning. Is there less of that deep, persistent stiffness when you rise from your favorite chair? Do you feel a sense of sustained energy without the sluggishness that often follows a sugary breakfast? This is about more than just eating. You are making a conscious daily choice for your mobility. You are taking direct, loving control over your comfort and working towards a future with more pain-free days. This is how lasting change begins.